It's day 19 of 30 days of sketches. Today I'm working with a wonderful sketch by Sochi. I'll link to it here. And I've pulled some paper scraps to create this layout. Her layout design, her sketch calls for stars, but I'm going to use some hearts that I punched out of a blue paper scrap. And I'm working with one photo of my daughters to highlight them. I'll give this to my older daughter Kelly to put in her scrapbook. This picture was taken on a visit to see her. She lives about 6 hours away in the Nashville area. And I like when the girls get some time together. I went ahead and made the page title Love You More, which is something we say to each other quite often. And I pulled a orange photo mat. I'm just going to ink the edges with this distress ink. "30 Days of Sketches" is hosted by Christy of Christy's Beautiful Life. I will link to her channel down in the description. There are lots of creators participating, and there's even a playlist down in the description that you can check out lots and lots of takes on this same sketch. One thing about a sketch is there are always many ways to make it work for you, and that's one of the things I love about working with sketches. You can just do what works for the story you're telling or for your scrapbook style. And this sketch in particular kind of calls for several nested borders, so I'm just going to cut those from the paper scraps that I have out, and then we'll see how it falls together. I will ink the edges of these papers after I get them all cut and arranged a bit more. So this background paper, it's interesting. It's been in my stash for a very long time. I kind of like the texture here, but the fish fossil really has nothing to do with my layout, and I think most of it will be covered by the background, so I'm not worried that this fish is there. It's just going to come through in the background as just interesting texture, so I'm not at all worried about that. And I have an oval left over from a prior layout, and I'm thinking about incorporating it just as another layer on the layout. First, I'll kind of see about these elements that these borders that I've cut out. I think they'll nest quite nicely. And then I thought the hearts could go like this. And I need one more border here in this corner. Okay, I am a big fan of torn edges, so instead of worrying about cutting these papers, I'm gonna tear. And I kind of like the idea that they would stair step. and all the paper scraps will go into my scrap bin. I love to use scraps to make collage clusters or other elements on pages, so they will not go to waste, that's for sure. All right, let me get the edges inked. And while I do that, let's do a scrapbook confession. So I often will lose things in plain sight on my desk. Think pens, hole punches, brushes, even scissors. And this happens to me over and over and over and over again. I never learn to not lose something on my scrap desk. So one solution I have is this awesome caddy. It's a little silicone caddy and it's quite flexible. You can just put your most used items in it. So I have a glue pen and scissors and a file and tweezers, several pens, X-Acto knife. And this just stays on my desk, and instead of setting things down on my desk to roll off or under or get lost, I just can pull it right out and put it right back, and they're always within a quick grab. So that's my solution, and that's my scrapbook confession of the day. I found this at Five Below some time ago. It was $5. I think it was worth it. I don't know if Five Below still has them or not. I did find a similar one on Amazon. I'll link to it down in the description. I'm an Amazon associate and would receive a commission for any qualifying purchases using that link. No obligation. I just am sharing a scrapbook confession with you and an idea for keeping your most used tools organized and at hand on your desktop without losing them like I tend to do. Scrapbook confessions is kind of a new thing I've started doing. I'd love to hear if you are enjoying them or not. This is the third day that I'm doing them, and I'm kind of embedding it into my videos. So let me know if you can relate to some of these confessions. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. I always try to reply to the comments that people leave me. They totally make my day when I hear from my friends on YouTube. Sketches are so awesome. I would have never thought to do something like this with the borders, but I am really loving this. It's cool. You know what? I think this needs a little more ink around the edges. I went over it once, but just needs to be more prominent. All right, I need a little glue pen to glue this down here. Where would that be? Right here. See how handy that is? It's awesome. For tiny details like this, I sometimes use art glitter glue, but I left it over on another area of my scrap room, and this was handy right in that silicone caddy. Back in the caddy, nice and handy. I should have put this oval down before I put the page title down. And there's this little scrap here, so I'm moving the page title over here just to cover that blemish. Back to the caddy for a pen to write Nashville 2022. This picture was taken last year on a visit. Keep on scrapping and paper crafting, everyone.